In the shadowy corners of reality, where the line between the mundane and the macabre blurs, there lie stories so true and disturbing they chill the bones. Tonight, Scarier Things delves into the abyss to bring you 3 tales of true stalker encounters, scary stories that are not mere fiction, but harrowing accounts of true scary stories. These are not just narratives. They are scary true stories that will haunt your dreams. Prepare yourself for an encounter with the most true horror stories of the fall, where every chilling scare is as real as your fear. Welcome to a world where horror stories are not just told, they are experienced. Brace yourself, for these are the chronicles of the eerie, the unexplained, and the downright terrifying. This is Scarier Things. Story 1. I'm Nancy, a seasoned behavioral therapist with half a decade of experience under my belt. I've interacted with a myriad of individuals in my career, but one particular case involving a young boy named Peter stands out as one of the most chilling scares and true horror stories I've ever encountered. Peter, a 15-year-old boy, was brought to me by his father, Tom. Tom was convinced that Peter had a social disorder due to his lack of friends and inability to socialize properly with his peers. During our therapy sessions, I would engage Peter in conversations about his interests and personal life. Initially, he was quite reserved, but he gradually opened up, especially when his father wasn't present. Peter revealed that his parents often argued, and he had no siblings or cousins, coming from a very small family. One day, during a session in the fall season, which I adore for its pumpkin-flavored delights, Peter and I discovered our mutual love for this season. However, a disturbing event occurred later that night. I found a mini pumpkin and a pumpkin-flavored coffee creamer at my doorstep. The only person I had shared my love for pumpkin with was Peter. The next day, I sent a text to Tom, conveying my unease about being trailed home by a client. Tom was quick to defend his son, denying any involvement. This left me wondering if it was a mere coincidence or a gift from a neighbor. Despite my apprehensions, I decided to continue with the therapy sessions. During one of these sessions, I subtly brought up the gifts, noticing Tom's annoyance and Peter's surprise. It was a bizarre situation, and I decided to terminate our relationship if it happened again. 2 nights later, my fears came true. More pumpkin-flavored items were left at my doorstep. As I was about to text Tom, I heard a phone ding from the bushes near my house. To my horror, I found Tom hiding there. He complimented me, and in fear, I ran into my house, locking the door. Tom left after I threatened to call the police. This incident not only explained the unwanted gifts, but also suggested that Tom might have been stalking me for weeks. Despite my brother's advice against getting a restraining order due to lack of evidence, I reported the case to the police, expressing concern about Peter's potentially unsafe household. This true horror story of a true stalker is one of the most disturbing and scary true stories I've encountered in my career. It's a reminder that sometimes the true horror stories are not about ghosts or supernatural beings, but about the chilling scares that can come from the people we least expect. Story 2. In the spirit of a true horror story, let me take you back to an early October Friday night. My friends Jose, Brian, Tanya, and I, all teenagers, were looking for some excitement to shake off our boredom. The weather was perfect for an outdoor adventure, with a gentle breeze and temperatures in the low 60s. Our town was typically quiet, with not much happening, especially for those of us too young to hit the bars. We decided to embark on a bike ride up Miller's Road to an old, abandoned pumpkin farm known as Farmer John's Pumpkin Patch. This place, once a thriving farm surrounded by crops on one side and a forest on the other, had been deserted for years. The original owner, Farmer John, or whoever he was, no longer lived there. The property had been sold, but the new owner had left it untouched. Miller's Road was a peaceful route, flanked by cornfields and farms, and it took us about 20 minutes to reach our destination. Upon arrival, we parked our bikes on the grass, leaning them against the dilapidated house that once belonged to the owner. Armed with our flashlights, we explored the overgrown grass, reminiscing about the old pumpkin patch and the petting zoo that used to be there. There was something thrilling yet spooky about exploring abandoned places at night. We decided to venture into the house where we had left our bikes. The entrance was easy as the door was already off its hinges, thanks to previous intruders. The true stalker-like eeriness began when we started hearing rhythmic thumps from upstairs, about 5 minutes after we entered the house. Hose and I decided to investigate, leaving Brian downstairs with a scared Tanya. The thumping grew louder as we ascended the stairs. Our flashlights revealed several open doors leading to what were once bedrooms. The thumping seemed to be coming from a room on the left. As we approached the room, the thumping ceased. We shone our flashlights into the room, and to our horror, we saw a man in the corner, facing the wall. It appeared as though he had been banging his head against the wall, causing the thumping sounds and what looked like blood stains on the wall. We quickly retreated, and as we ran down the stairs, a gut-wrenching scream echoed from the room, causing all 4 of us to scream in terror. We rushed out of the house to our bikes, hearing the sound of footsteps descending the stairs and the screams growing louder. In a state of absolute fear, we pedaled as fast as we could, not looking back until we reached my house. This chilling scare remains one of the most disturbing and scary true stories we've ever experienced. I still have no idea what we witnessed that night, and I don't even want to attempt to explain it. It's a true testament to the fact that sometimes the most terrifying horror stories are the ones that happen in real life. Story 3. In the spirit of true horror stories, let me recount a chilling scare from my childhood. I was just 6 years old when my family and I visited a mountain resort for the second time. This resort, now long abandoned, was a popular spot for families, especially during the fall season when the leaves changed colors. One particular night stands out in my memory. The resort had organized a bonfire, marshmallow roast, and hayride. My older brother Corey, who was around 10, was supposed to keep an eye on me while our parents focused on my younger brother. As the evening progressed, I met a man by the bonfire who claimed to be one of the owners of the resort. He gifted me a small laser pointer toy, instantly winning my trust. When the hayride driver announced a final ride in the dark, my brother suggested we should go. He went off to find his friends, leaving me by the bonfire. My parents were preoccupied, my dad with his beer and my mom roasting marshmallows with my little brother. When I asked my mom about Corey, she told me he was going on the hayride and urged me to hurry and join him. I rushed to the hayride, but I didn't see Corey. I took a seat on one of the haystacks, waiting for the ride to start. The man from the bonfire climbed into the truck with a woman, who he introduced as his wife. They sat next to me, and we chatted throughout the ride. As we approached a big hill, the man noticed my nervousness and lifted my arms in the air as we descended, making me laugh. He then asked if I had visited the resort's arcade. When I said no, he offered me a key to the games, promising it would be all mine. After the hayride, the couple walked with me away from the bonfire, towards the cabins and main buildings of the resort. They said the arcade wasn't far. As we moved further from the bonfire, the woman's grip on my hand tightened, and we quickened our pace. I realized we were heading towards the parking lot, not the clubhouse. Suddenly, I heard my brother's voice calling my name. I turned to see him watching us, but he didn't follow or say anything else. The next thing I remember is hearing my mom's panicked screams. She ran towards us, demanding the strangers to let go of me. They quickly walked away into the darkness, leaving me with my hysterical mother. The worst part is they got away, potentially posing a threat to someone else. My mom reported the incident to the resort and the police, but there was little they could do once the couple had disappeared. The thought that I was almost kidnapped by a creepy older couple still sends shivers down my spine. This disturbing encounter remains one of the scariest true stories from my childhood.